I feel incredibly stupid. I'm so dumb. I'm a dummy. I'm a royal idiot. Ugh. I pressed the wrong button, accidentally closed out my stream. Alright, we'll get back up in just like 2 seconds. Man, that's upsetting. Let's get my beats back. Sure, do this one. Oh man, I apologize about that. I close out everything too. Somehow I close out all my phone stuff. That's pretty funny. It's pretty good. I apologize. Reset. There we go. Oh, okay. Is everybody back? Are we good? Sorry, my phone chat isn't working right. Yeah, I accidentally backed out. So if you're, I think you said you were stuck. So, yeah, Blender's finicky. I recommend just closing it out. Control-Alt-Delete, Task Manager, and close out. I'm not doing that because that's what messed up the stream. Oh, dang it! Make sure you switch when you restart. You switch it to Maya. So the controls for that. Oh, no, they're not back yet. They were. Oh man, I'm such an idiot. I feel so stupid. Okay. Alright. Dang it. No, stop. Stop it. There we go. We're back. Alright. We're almost back. Where are my beats? Give me my beats.
I got my lotion and my gum. Could I also get the morning after pill?
Nick, do we sell the morning after?
Oh, that's okay. Are you
Question.
watching the food menu? So sad.
You guys are getting music and I'm wearing. That's not fair.
Sometimes when I have 6
Alright.
almonds, I feel like I have.
You said you were stuck.
Oh my god. Who is that? Looks like Chewbacca after an acid attack.
I know him.
Apology accepted for pepper spraying me.
Anyway, when you go back into Maya or Blender, make sure you click Maya, and then you'll have the same controls that I do for Maya. And so, click left mouse button. Left mouse button does absolutely nothing, but if you hold Control or Alt and left mouse button and drag, you can rotate your perspective camera. This is what's known as the perspective camera, the one that you're seeing through, or Maya panel. Same thing. Control right click or Alt right click, and it zooms in. Do this if you can help it for zooming in instead of the mouse. I like using the mouse on occasion, but this is better. And then Alt mouse button M3, and you can pan around, and that's how Blender works. Now, to get into everything else on Blender, modeling, I don't remember exactly how to do, but it seems pretty easy. Probably take me a little bit. I don't want to go too much into it. This is creating is literally just adding stuff. You can add your lights, your curves. If you want to like learn how to rig too, animation. Don't ever click make animation until the very end, unless you need it for something else. Physics is so Blender used to have a game engine, and I think that's part of the physics it can do. I think it goes hand in hand with physics. I'm not really sure. You used to be able to connect buttons and make cool little games and stuff, but I don't know if you can do that. So what happened was I meant to get to my task manager, and I accidentally clicked signed out. And when you click sign out, it closes everything. And it closed everything, and I tried to cancel it, and then it didn't do it. But apologize. Feel like a dummy. But yeah, if you're stuck with Blender, just look up a basic tutorial on how to work it first. For me, it's gonna be easiest to start off with the Maya settings. 3ds Max is another animation program that a lot of people use too. You can learn that as well, but like I said, just learn one. Since Blender's free, just learn Blender. You don't even have to keep the Maya thing on. It's just, that's the only way I'm going to be able to help you. But another thing, if you want free Blender rigs, I never looked at a specific one for Blender. TurboSquid is a very good site to find rigs. The one I'm using, like I said, is personally made strictly for other games, so you're not gonna be able to get that one. I wonder if these will work. Spelled his name wrong. If you find this guy, Keel Figgins, he's an animator, but an even better. Personally, he's way better at creating models and rigs. So, I'm pretty sure he hand makes these rigs. I don't think those are... So knowing rigging, there are automatic rigging machines out there. I can't even say they're automating rigging machines, but there's ones like this. Advanced... If I could spell advanced right, that'd be great. Like, you're trying to animate a mouse. What do you mean animate a mouse? So this is a it'll put a rig on a model. That's what Advanced Skeleton does. This guy, I'm pretty sure he hand makes his rigs, which is really, really good. It just takes a lot more time. But you can use free rig like that. You also gotta be very careful. Question mark? Not what I wanted. If you got some random free rig that was a mouse, you gotta be careful which rigs you pick up, because sometimes they're a little weird. I do want to see one thing real quick. I'll open. They are all Maya binaries. That's awesome. So, you have to find specific Blender rigs. Ooh, Blender cloud. So yeah, I remember that dude, and the big Buck Bunny. Oh, that's an amazing film too. So these are all Blender made films, and I guess they give out their characters that you can animate. That's pretty cool. I really want the big Buck Bunny. He's funny. He's like a big stupid idiot rabbit that just walks around, and then this guy tries to mess with him. Got some weird rigs, so I kind of want to play that one. But you go out, you download a rig, and you start learning how to key with that. I recommend, though, to really understand animation, start with 2D. And if you have Photoshop, you could do it with Photoshop. I have what's called Toon Boom. Again, not a free program. I mean, just learning. If you just need to learn, do something like this. 2D pencil animation. Learn how to do this stuff. Wow, that Link one was really cool. The little jump Ippo is still pretty good. That one's nice. Learn the basics. Start off with a bouncing ball. Ooh, don't go anywhere. Please don't go anywhere. Do I have it? I don't want. Alright. It's upstairs, but you're learning animation. I almost didn't even give you, like. You can find this at Barnes & Noble, because I did. Animation Survival Kit. You have to. If you want to be an animator, I don't know any animator, I really don't, that does not have some form of copy of this book. You can find it at Barnes & Noble, you can order it here for $10. I have it upstairs. You need to get this book and read it, specifically for animation. If you don't have this book, you are not an animator. I'm sorry. And that was true for almost every animator I know. This explains everything. Richard Williams is an amazing, amazing person. And this book is like the biggest help you will ever get. Anything that I will say, this will probably trump it. It's mainly for 2D animation, but he goes into... Yeah, here he is. Actually, this is a pretty funny video that he talks about, where he does the walk cycle stuff. Man, he's funny. He's a little old school though, and especially with the way he talks, and some people could be offended, but an amazing, amazing animator. And you need that. To start with that. Follow that book. I think it has examples in it of the bouncing ball. And if you do that stuff, like I'm telling you, you'll be an amazing animator in no time flat. But start off with 2D, I guess, to really understand the animation principles. Learn Blender though, if you can. Do the tutorials, understand, learn how to model. If you can animate in that, do it, but I recommend doing 2D first, because it'll just open so many doors for you. Because then, if you like 2D, because I went to school, and they force you to do 2D first, and I'm very thankful that I did. I almost didn't go down 3D because of one of the classes I had. It was an amazing experience. You literally start off with a bouncing ball, then you make a flag wave, then you make a frog, actually kind of like this guy. You kind of make a frog character, do a sidestep. Oh, what else was there? Then you had to make a character and do a 10-second animation, which 10 seconds doesn't sound like a lot. It literally takes weeks to do. And a beanbag, you gotta make a beanbag, walk across and do something. And we literally spend weeks, like literally night and day. You don't leave, you literally standing, you do it pen and paper too. Like we did traditional pencil, light table, and we made a bouncing ball, we did a bowling ball, and then a tennis ball, and then we did all of it right there, 100% pencil and paper, and we got it graded. And we had to do each frame, each one of these frames as a drawing, take a picture of it, not with our cameras, we have a specific light station. We take a picture, put that on the next one, take a picture, and then we turn it into an animation. It takes up so much time, but it was so much fun. So unbelievably fun. But I recommend doing that. Recommend. I say recommend. You can do whatever you want. I need to get back to this animation, but we'll play a little bit more with timing. So, but anyway, what I'm doing right here is what's called the Tween Machine. The Tween Machine is a great script, and what a script is where did I put Tween Machine? Documents, Maya, 2018 scripts. Here we go. So this is Tween Machine. Somebody, so what this does is, this is the exact coding for it. All this beautiful, beautiful coding. And it literally makes this little layout, and then it does what it's supposed to do. So what it does is, I select something and say halfway. So first of all, this is a keyframe and that's a keyframe. What we're about to make is an in-between. What an in-between is, well, keyframe is just the main pose, and in-between is literally in between the two keyframes, and that's kind of how you always animate. But what it does is you can select where it is. So this is halfway between these two keyframes, but I can tell how close to each frame, each opposing frame it is. So it's 75% closer to this frame than is this frame. So it'll move slow and then quick. And that's literally how you do slow-ins and slow-outs. But we're not doing that with that arm. But we're gonna do it with the entire body. It literally just makes in-betweens, and it makes things move slower and quicker, which is what slow-outs are. It's another one of the 12 principles of animation. 12 principles of animation, we'll get into that real quick, because you do need to know those. And if you don't know these, two Disney animators made these. I forget their names right now off the top of my head. Ollie Johnston and Frank Thomas. And you get this book too. This book's really good, The Illusion of Life. Focus on the main 12 and you'll be fine for anything, any job, no matter what, as long as you fully understand them. But this Tween Machine is a godsend, because normally I would do like weird things to get it, but it makes this so much easier. Tween Machine's great. I know, I keep going back and forth and like trying to teach you things. It's a lot to take in, but it's always a lot to take in. At first you're like a scared little person, because that's what I was when I first got to animation school. I thought everybody was going to know more than me. And then I realized that everybody doesn't really know anything. Except for the professors. Here's where we're going to fix that arm wobble that's going on. There's a few different ways to fix that. Actually, I realized I never explained what gimbal is. So you see how I have this rotation thing going right here, and it messes with all those? Well, there's another way to do that. Is you select the control and then you click it, and now you see how this changed? Well, that's the different rotations that all these are going on. And you notice these two are ridiculously close to each other, right? They shouldn't be like that. They should always be like this. But somehow, doing random animations, they get flopped sometimes, and it just happens. But these will never change on this control. You see this yellow circle? It'll never change like that. Don't press the wrong buttons. Yeah, that's kind of hard to do, not to do though. Pressing wrong buttons. Did I just... Nope, didn't fix it. But it like goes between, when you're rotating using this thing, it rotates all of them, doing what's called world space and object space. And it swaps, and then you got gimbal space and all these different components and stuff like that. It's just how the tool works, and it sometimes just trips up. There's like no real way to prevent it. It's just how it works. Sorry. But the few ways to fix it though is literally animating frame by frame by frame, which is the worst way to do it. sometimes like that's the only way to do it. So animating it frame by frame. Is doing it like this until it just swaps back from one frame to the next. So I'm playing with the comma and the period, and that goes to the next keyframe on whatever I have. This live stream is slow. Oh, is it skipping again? One second. I can fix this. Is it now catching up now? Please tell me it's catching up. Yeah, stream's catching up. Awesome. Sorry, so that's what happens when you have 6 people living in one house. And things... Now it's... I can fix that though. Sorry, we're gonna be without music for a little bit. Is it better now? Okay. So that's animating frame by frame. Not the best thing to do, but you see it swaps from one to the other. I can't just... Oh, I might be able to. Let's see. Hey, would you look at that? So when animating in this component mode, it sometimes doesn't always work out right. Actually, you know what? We're gonna try it. That one was the right one, right? 32? Yes, it was. Doesn't always work out right doing it this way, but it does work. So you see all this stuff, like these lines swapping. It's just the curves that you get from doing it, but from animating. And Maya trying to figure out how you want it to work, but almost never works out right. So what I'm doing is I'm just leveling it out. It's obviously not going to look the way I wanted it to, but we are going to remove the gimbal lock by doing it. Let me know if it gets slow again though, or the stream starts getting messed up. Because I can't tell. All my sensors are, yeah, about a minute ago, the frame rate dropped. We have 6 people living in one house trying to work on, or using a bunch of different internet stuff. But you see, we fixed it though. There we go. So that is one way to fix it too. I like that way better. And now the arm doesn't look like it's doing anything incredibly stupid. So the tongue I'm not worrying about, because the tongue is on what we call was like an overlapping action, which is usually like stuff like hair or clothing pieces, anything that's not necessarily controlled directly through your skeletal system, I guess, if you want to say. So when I take off my headset, my hair's a little shaky, so I move to that way. My head stops, but my hair still moves. That's what we call an overlapping action, and follow through. So both at the same time. One of the 12 principles, and those small extra details is literally what makes the rest of it alive. The other reason why we're not touching it, so you do that last because you want to get the body right first and then everything else afterwards. That's how I animate all the time. The other reason we don't touch it is because the way that it's rigged, it's a little weird. So they're all rotating off of this one joint, and I do move and rotate this joint, so it's a little weird. And you want to animate a simple mouse. I want to animate a simple mouse. Like, I want that mouse to walk. Oh, okay. Well, wait, are you doing like a 4-legged mouse or a 2-legged mouse, like a human mouse, like what's that game called? Moss. The game is called Moss. Kind of like this, or like an actual mouse. Because if you're doing a 4-legged creature, you literally just jumped ahead to like one of the hardest things. Okay, so you have bipeds and then quadrupeds. Biped, 2-legged animal. Quadruped, 4-legged animal. You have walk cycles are still very hard. I do them all the time. I love walk cycles, and I can do them in my sleep. That's because I do them all the dang time. I've had a lot of experience with them. Walk cycles. So you have your regular walk cycle, biped walk cycle, which is still very hard. You have a general path for your feet. So this is from the Richard Williams, the one I told you about. It has an exact cycle of over 25 frames at 24 frames per second. Oh, okay. Okay. So you have a 2-legged mouse. Well, walk cycle. And over 25 frames, you have this foot following this exact path over these amount of frames. It's... Oh, okay. But even still, you're jumping way ahead of the game in the animation game. Animating and doing walk cycles are actually very tough. And if you don't understand them too much, they're going to look really weird. And I've seen some really bad walk cycles. I've made a bad walk cycle before. But, so walk cycle is normally done in 12. So what that means is the foot will travel in a same cycle. I'm going to bring up an example. Let Maya load up real quick. There's. Okay, let's go on. So you have a walk cycle. I did this walk cycle. It's actually, this has everything done to it, but this is also a little bit different because this is a 3-jointed leg as opposed to a biped, which is only 2-jointed. Or actually, I should say 1, 2, 3, 4. A 4-jointed compared to a 3-jointed. So you have the hip, the knee, and then the foot. And then this one you have the hip, the knee, the ankle, and the toes, technically, would it be. but for a biped, imagine it over. It's very difficult to explain it because I made the walk cycle a little bit longer on this one. So this one's over 30 frames per second, or the cycle is over 30 frames per second, but it's on a 45 frame cycle. I understand it perfectly. It's kind of a little bit hard to explain. So its cycle goes back 45 cycle. Frame 1 and 45 are the same, and it'll go back. And halfway through, it goes and repeats itself on the opposing foot. Oh, man. It's sometimes very difficult to explain. But it goes back and then starts all over again. But it has different key points at different times. So, trying to figure out the best way to explain this without going into a full lecture. Because this literally takes like 45 minutes to explain. I used to be a production assistant to an animation professor who specifically does a walk cycle, and he literally takes a full hour to explain just how the walk cycle works, and then he goes into another hour of showing how it works in 2D just by showing a few frames. Very, very difficult, and you're jumping way ahead if you're trying to do a walk cycle. But to understand it, it goes from the back to the front in half of the cycle, and then the rest of the half, it goes from the front to the back. That's half the cycle, but it does have key points. So halfway through moving to the front, it's passing the secondary leg, the leg in the back. And then it goes up, and then 2 or 3 frames before it gets midway, which is 25. 25 is the center frame, which is the exact reverse of this, of frame 1 and 45. A couple frames ahead, it goes up and slams down. I did a little bit of an extra styling thing to it, because that's the way the game is. Sometimes style can affect traditional walk cycles, but if you know the traditional walk cycle, you can do any style. So I played with it, and then you get to work. This is a pretty good animation, if I don't say so myself. No, it is good. It does still have its mistakes. Any animation does. Never treat any animation like it's finished. You always want to think it's not finished and improve and improve and improve. I mean, granted, at some point you're going to have to turn something in. Like I had to say, okay, it's time to turn this in. You have to know when to stop, and because if you look at anybody in any profession, like a photographer, they'll take a picture of a flower and show it to you, and then they'll bring it through Photoshop and do their filters, right? They'll bring you 10 pictures and be like, this one looks different than this one, right? And to you, not being trained in photography, won't notice the difference between any one of those 10 pictures, but it's the same picture, just different settings, and they'll be able to pick things out. That's what we got to do too as animators. I can pick out every mistake with this thing, but oh, sorry. There's like 2 things I can do to fix this, and I really don't want to. We'll do that later. Is it good now? It's because this is happening because everybody's finally getting home and the internet gets bogged down a little bit, but I have everything hooked up. Oh no. Dang it. Did spend a little more time than I wanted to. So I've been on for almost 2 hours now. We do have all the blocking done though. So get back down. So all the blocking is done. The timing is right. Actually, I kind of want it to be a little bit slower. Let's see if we can do that. Excuse me. I want this build up to be even larger. Oh wow, 35 frames is not enough. That is scary. So one way to mess with timing is to just spread it out. Why are you doing this to me? I might end up just having to call if it's just going to keep doing this, because that means I have to go in and do something I can't do on stream, and I don't want to pause it or do anything. I don't really have a choice in that matter if it's starting to do this. And I apologize. I normally don't have these problems, but sometimes they just happen. And like I said, I'm not in my own place, so I can't do a few things that will fix it. So I like this timing that's at right now for here. That's still too long. Turn that up. Oh, there we go. But yeah, I might end soon anyway. Plus, it's almost time for dinner for me. Come on. Yeah, come on. So it might be 42. That would be... That looks a little weird. That's what we wanted to do before. Just went forward. Oh, I did too much. Oh, yeah, that would make sense. But yeah, that's the animation for what it's at so far. Not nearly done, not by any means. But I did get a lot done today, especially for not having anything really planned. So this is obviously not right. You can tell by the tongue. Tongue is where your eye is attracted to the most right now. And sad to say, but we are going to have to do some counter animating frame by frame. That's literally going to be from frame 14 to here. Actually, let's see if we do this. I want to see if this works. Because I kind of like this pose. Like, I kind of like that, but I think it only works on the... I like it when it comes back, but not when it's in there. Yeah, so this is going into a game, and this will be an attack. I can't put a fly around there. I would love to. Actually, maybe I could. I will, when I turn this in, like, it can't have a fly in it. But for me, afterwards, I can probably take it into Toon Boom. So I'd render out all the images, and I'd put a fly in there. Huh. Potentially. I could potentially do that. But no, see, he's attacking the character with the tongue. So I can't make a fly as much as I want to now. Why you gotta do that? Why you gotta say things like that and make me really want to do that? Yeah, we definitely want this to hang out a little bit longer though. Let's see if this will work. Yeah, no. So we're gonna have to counter animate. That's not gonna be fun. Almost spot on. But yeah, I know that's what you said, but the thing is, you can't always. If you get cool ideas like that, you can't always do them. So that's kind of the speed we want, but it's still not hanging out as long as I need it to. So what we're going to do is run this. Knock it back one frame. Dang it. That's annoying. Oh, well. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make this tongue. Yeah, that's what it's doing. And we gotta animate each frame because it doesn't want to participate the way we want it to. But sometimes animating frame by frame like this is not a good thing to do. You want to try and avoid it, but since it's only 4 frames, it's not bad. I'm gonna have to go in there and touch it up, but right now I just want to keep it in the same general position. I want to keep it in the same general position because, like I said before, when you're doing stuff like this, this is pretty much the silhouette is what your eye is gonna be paying attention to, and you kind of want the tongue to stick out just a little bit, just enough so that the player can know what's happening. So I'm gonna obviously touch that up, but I might increase the time. That negative. Just 1 frame. Yeah, actually, that wasn't bad. But what we're going to do is we're going to have to redo all of that. So that's the bad thing about doing frame by frame, what I just did right there, is because if you need to make minor adjustments, then you have to do all of those animations over again. But I now know that if I was to animate frame by frame, it's going to work. So that is the timing that we are going to be sticking with, and it's going to be a 42 frame. We might adjust it a little bit here and there, but at that note, we are going to save. So that is something that you need to get in the habit of, is saving all the time. Because things can slow down, things can crash. I'm actually surprised right now Maya hasn't crashed once this entire time. Maya almost always crashes on me. It's freaking annoying. I like the timing. does not look right at all, but the timing is right. Or what I mean by it doesn't look right is very, very clunky animation. But I have the posing where I want it. I have the timing where I want it. We're just probably gonna play with the attack part last and do everything else. No, that's not right. I'm gonna work that tongue next time. I'm actually gonna end it soon because I can smell dinner's almost ready. I need to take a break anyway. I'm starting to feel it, Mr. Krabs, but I'm glad you got to watch though, and I hope you learned something. I hope I was explaining everything right enough that you understood. Honestly, just keep learning, keep drawing, and if you want to, look up a few tutorials. I'll learn more on Blender. I guess next time, if you catch up with me next time, I'll probably be on tomorrow animating. I'll probably be on tomorrow animating as well. I might not do this. I might go. So I have another animation up right now that I'm doing at the same time. I'm doing a dialogue piece, which is a clip from a really old movie in 1983. A movie called Clue, based off the board game. Hilarious movie. It is one of my favorites. One of my favorite comedies. And there's a line in there that I did. But yeah, no problem. But I am gonna hop onto that and do that animation tomorrow. If you want to catch up on that's a little bit more advanced than this. It's a lot more advanced than this. Or I'm using two different characters interacting with each other, and it's pretty interesting. Really funny though. You actually get to see me do reference animation, put it like a reference video in the background, animate to the background, and we just finished up blocking on that one, so we should get into doing the animation tomorrow. But I'll be on tomorrow, probably around 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern. I don't know where you're at. Again, but yeah, definitely thank you for watching. Anybody else who's watching or will watch or in the future watching this, sure. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not that popular. Not yet, anyway. Hopefully. If I keep doing this, somebody will eventually notice. Right? Yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be on tomorrow. And this is the Animation Station.